You
Hello,
bastards.
and
I'm
welcome
leaving.
to Let's Drone Out. Tonight you are joined by Jack, Brighton Till I Fly,
Hello.
the Ton Star with his X-Class building exploits.
Man, Tone Star, man.
How are you doing tonight, Mrs. Tone Star? Or should that be Ms.? And myself, Stephen, aka Belrick. Welcome, everyone.
Hello. Welcome to the show.
Please
What are
change
your
that.
pronouns?
Man. Can you change it to just man, please?
No.
I'm going to leave if you don't do it. Where's
There you go.
the settings?
Let me just get the chat up. Hello. I'm so sorry. I will have to disappear in a sec because my insides are killing.
No,
But yeah.
Jackie Poos, what's up?
I
You
know.
having a little flare up?
Yeah, pretty much. That's the joys of unmanaged
Stress.
Crohn's. Yeah. Oh, it's a
Yikes.
nightmare.
Hang in there.
Yeah. Have you been out flying, Stephen? You're our only hope.
I flew.
Let's go leave with Tony.
Yeah,
Tony
I
been up
flew.
to?
You flown?
Yeah, I flew.
Did it catch fire?
No. I bought some new 1500 4S because I'm still a 4S freestyle guy.
Just the one of them?
6
4S.
6 4S for £92, which I thought was pretty good. And they were delivered within 2 days. China Line Hobby.
Oh, I was implying you might be running
right.
2 of them and doing 8S.
No, that is that's the X-Class.
Okay.
And then
that
the new X-Class is going to be 12S running 2 6S. But yeah, no, I bought. I got told they're all right, so I just thought, I'll have a go for £92 and get delivered to your door. I think you actually put it in your chat.
Yeah, there was a buy one get one free. It was chaos though. I looked on the site and there were some that were like, some sizes were £3 or something, and then there was only a tiny number of them, and others there were buy one get one free, and the stock list was just like changing as I was looking at the site. It was kind of chaos.
Well, I normally fly 1600 4S, and the 1500s was what I got, which were a little bit lighter, and they're actually quite light. But when you go out and fly your new batteries, they take a little while to settle in. So
yeah,
I was getting 3 minutes flight time, not the 3.5, nearly 4 that I normally get. But you need to sort of run them in a little bit, don't you? And
you get that like surprise ending, don't you, where it just falls off the cliff?
Yeah, they stay good for ages. Like they're shit at the start, and then they run them in, and then they're really good for 2 years, and then they crash.
Yeah.
So, but they seemed all right, and they look pretty good. So, and for £92 for 6, I thought it was pretty good.
Can't go wrong. What are you flying on? You got the same sort of quad as Jack, kind of KISS 5-inch?
Yeah, do you know what? If someone said build a quad nowadays and program it, me and Jack went on beta flight the other day, and we were like, what's these sliding things? What? Honestly, if you're not on it, if you're not on it 24/7, you'll have a month out, 2 weeks out, and you're like, what's happened? So I don't know.
I do find there's a lot of reading involved, and I know some folks are not so good with the reading. I can understand the pain, because it's either read some documentation or watch 4 hours of videos to decipher what's going on. Ain't nobody got time for that.
No. So I don't know. I just went rebooked my flying field, which is basically where I play airsoft, and where I also now do Coco's agility. So it's all in the same spot just down the road, and I just went out and flew. I think it was a Monday. It was just a really nice afternoon, and there was no sun, and it was just nice to get out and there was sun, no clouds or rain, is what I meant to say, because we've had a lot of that. So I just went out and just thought, sod it, I'm going to go for a fly, and sat up there on my own and had a fly. It was nice just to get the goggles down and get my thumbs back on the sticks.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
I'm glad you managed to get out there in between the rain. I thought I was going to get kind of a rain-free week, and I foolishly didn't just run out there instantly, and it started raining on me.
Pardon me.
So I may have missed my window.
Yeah, March has been absolutely horrific.
I did a wee bit of building, a massive kind of run of stuff that had been sitting on my bench for ages. I had this shoulder nerve trapped in my shoulder. It's been stupid painful with a bunch of referred pain down my arm. So bits of my random parts of my right arm have just started hurting for no good reason. And it's put me in an awful mood, and it's generally made any sort of work that requires using arms or even like sitting pretty uncomfortable. But that's thanks to lots of physio and stretching and all this good stuff's finally subsiding. So I decided to pick up some of the stack of stuff that I've had here for ages. And I went on this ESC flashing rampage and tore through like 3 4-in-1s, did 27 individual solder joints and flashed AM32 onto them because I've been extolling the benefits of this thing for ages and just kind of had my finger up my bum and not actually flashing it. So that's done. And then I got an SP racing board from Dom as a sample a while ago.
Yes, well, I've got a couple coming apparently.
And I've put it in the most ridiculously small micro possible.
Wow.
So there's like an H7 in there because it's the only one I had an analog VTX in. Everything else, anything bigger than this is digital. And this is like the biggest quad I've got that is analog. And because of that, it's still got a stack, whereas everything else is AIO. So I got it in there, and I've slowly sort of been going through repinning so many JSTs, so many, and then you plug them in, and he's got these super wide, like 12-pin JSTs, and so if you get one of them not quite right, you like shove in the JST, and the pin pops back. So after much trial and error, everything is finally connected properly, and it's starting to bear fruit, which is good. Yeah, lots of random geekery with that we won't go into. And then my little 4-inch jobby, that's got one that I actually put one of these new ESCs in, and I'm looking forward to getting out with that. But alas, I just farted around for too long, and now it started raining on me, which sucks.
That's what happens. This is England. Mind you, February was dry. March has been absolutely just a washout.
It's like underwater. It's not just raining. The field where I normally do a little bit of light flying near where I live, like there's standing water. It's slowly turning into a lake. It's just ludicrous.
I know. I alternate in my walk 3.5 miles every day to a ride. So I do a ride, a walk, a ride, a walk, and I've been walking a lot in March because I went out for a ride, and I was just like, this is horrendous. It's like too muddy. It was crap.
You're having fun, and then all of a sudden you like pedal and the wheels spin and you're not going forward, and you're like, this is going to be uncomfortable.
My local MTB stuff is just literally for keeping fit, so it's pretty flat. Well, it's actually mostly uphill, but it's just boggy and horrible. So what can you do? You can't control the weather.
Got to make the best of it. And I've been playing a bunch of Trip, this FPV simulator.
Someone sent me. Who was it? Luke Falling with Style sent me a WhatsApp the other day and said, "Have you played this?"
Hello, we are joined by Curry Kitten.
Hello.
And it's called. Oh, he spoke to me. So he hasn't
TRYP is the one, and you've got like a nice outdoor map, like really huge, expansive area.
That must be it.
You can press the M key on your keyboard, and it will bring up all these like challenges to follow. You get racing cars, and lots of sims have racing cars to follow these days. But they went kind of above and beyond, and there's all sorts of weird stuff. So it's not just racing cars. There's motocross bikes. There's people doing like paragliding. There's people doing like flying squirrel suit jumps off cliffs, so it'll like spawn you right next to a guy as he jumps off the cliff, and you've got to like dive with him down the cliff, and then it'll level out, and you try and follow him through valleys.
And apparently, it's really good graphics, and it's running on his
Yeah.
old laptop, and he said it's really good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
it
they've
must be
released
the
a
same
snow
one.
level recently, and so you got your skiers and snowboarders, and they've got the big old ski jumps as well, so you can like bomb down those giant the Olympic, you know, the huge ramps they've got, big concrete ramps, and follow people down those. That's quite a good laugh. There was a little bug with controllers as well, so I actually went onto their forum and spent a while chatting to the guys, and they're a really nice bunch. They're got straight hold of the developer, and he was like, oh yeah, let's look at the logs, let's fix that, because it was detecting my keyboard and not showing me my radio unless I like unplugged the keyboard, left it disconnected, and then unplugged and replugged the radio, and we fixed that, and he's put a new build out. So yeah, seems like a really nice bunch of people.
Cool.
Not to belittle Curry Kitten's amazing work in his sim, of course, but I understand Curry's been busy doing other things.
It runs on potatoes. That's the only thing I can say.
Wow, you're really
Oh, you're
loud.
a bit boomy.
Am I? Oh, no.
Oh, no, you're
It's,
all good
it's
now.
okay, just don't shout.
a bit
at us,
better
man.
now.
It's all good.
All right.
I don't know what that
My
was.
sim
Everyone-
runs on a bad PC.
Runs on like an
That's the
8-year-old
only thing I've got going. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Everyone's
Sorry
got a
about
beard
me.
tonight. It's Beard
Pippa
City.
said mine now needs a trim, so it could
Cold
be
chin
going
weather.
a little bit shorter now.
I like it. Jack,
like
your
salt and
needs a
pepper.
bit more.
I shaved mine last week. It was doing my head in. It's so dry.
I
It was
washed mine. That's why it's well fluffy.
I had a definite
think it's
itchy
too
phase,
much.
which is now I'm worried about shaving, because there's that itchy phase where it goes from stubble to beard that always drove me crazy, and I'm
Oh,
not sure I'd
it's-
have the patience to go through it again.
It was 2 weeks for me to get through that. It was horrendous. But now it's too long. I actually don't know what I'm doing with my beard. I don't know what I'm going to do. I know whether to cut it all off for the summer, leave it, trim it. I just don't know. Might go full on.
Oh, just do what I did
That's
and wait
it.
and see what happens. I mean, that's
Curry?
an option.
Just leave
Hello.
it.
Do you want to
Oh,
give
it's
this a
helpful.
go?
I could give it a try. I said I'd be willing to try it.
Try it.
I think it's
now
definitely worth
I've
it.
heard the man speak, and I like his ideas.
Are we
I listened.
circulating a sample?
I listened to the podcast at work and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Do you want to borrow a whole quad, save your soldering, or do you want to stick it in something? It's up to you. I can send you a quad.
Please cut
That's
that
okay.
out, that bit, please.
Where do we want to stick it?
Exactly. Cut that bit, Peter.
I could borrow a whole quad just of laziness, but not if
fine.
it's hassle to send around.
It's
What we
fine.
should do is actually meet up, assuming that the weather is going to at some point trend upwards and not remain so.
Well,
It should be
we're
trending
nearly on
upwards now, but-
400. Why don't we meet up
What, for our anniversary
before
thing?
all of us? Yeah.
Why doesn't Curry let us know a date when he's going to be actually in the country and not doing his international man of mystery routine?
I'm only in Cornwall next week. I know it seems like a different country,
I'm
but
loving
technically
it,
it's part
Cornwall.
of England.
Yeah.
I haven't been
It
to
takes a lot
Cornwall
longer
for
to
a
get
long
to
time.
Cornwall than France, so it might as well
Yeah,
be
it
a different
does.
country.
Can you take me with you?
It does feel like the weather's turned this week. It seems much more
Monday was
positive.
great.
Monday
Yeah,
was good.
Sunday
Tuesday was good.
afternoon was
Wednesday
great.
wasn't bad.
Yeah, I went
I was-
out for
I
a
was
walk
happy.
and sort of stretched my legs, try and get the shoulders moving. It was lovely and sunny yesterday, and I tried to do the same today, and it's just soaked again. Damn it! So
breezy today.
Going to be, yeah.
I didn't see
Weekend's
any
gonna be a
wind.
mess.
We've been dodging the wind here, but it was all right this morning. Rain this afternoon, not too bad though. Got my walk in, didn't fly, but did fly last. I think it must have been last Monday I flew. I can't remember. It was probably 2 weeks ago now. It was nice to get out though.
I flew this Monday and last Monday, 2 weeks in
Wow.
a row.
That is crazy.
Like, that's more flying than anybody. And I got a new quad today, kindly sent by somebody, which is exciting because it's my first walk snail quad.
Ooh. Oh yeah, you're
Which
going
is,
down that avenue.
Which is cool. We are going down that avenue, and it's tiny. You've got a tiny walk snail quad, haven't you, Stephen?
That's what he said.
Oh yeah.
This is the one from Happy Model. It's this big.
Oh,
that looks cool.
Oh,
And it comes with
the baseline or whatever they're calling it.
What's it called? Yes, the Baseline HD, and it's got ELRS on it already, so that's good.
Cool.
I like the idea of digital stuff on very small things.
Have the goggles arrived yet?
Yes.
I think,
I've got the goggles. I've got the VTXs.
Oh,
Yeah. But I haven't had time to open them because I'm not here for a week. So
tragedy.
They're still in the shrink wrap sitting over there with
Such
the
restraint.
VTXs.
Such restraint.
I know. It's amazing,
So
isn't it?
what's that called? 2S, 3S,
This is 2S.
2S.
This one. So it should be flyable indoors. And then I think round the trees in the woods should be quite good. Because I remember, Stephen, you saying about how good it was round trees compared to analog. So I thought that'd be a good test. I can take a couple of analog quads with me, take that with me, and have a bit of a comparison, see how things feel.
Cool.
Well,
Yeah,
there's still
yeah,
no leaves on the tree, so you might be all right.
Well, you can
That's
see
true, actually.
You can see a surprising amount with that. It was just
Will I
when
be able
the
to see
days
the
really
ghost branches
overcast.
coming?
Yeah, yeah. You'll be shocked the first time you fly with digital. Like, oh my word, I can actually see these things that were just like tiny speckles in an analog picture. You can actually see the branch. It's magic.
We cross fingers. I'm excited about it.
Let me know how the fit is, because we're talking about the fit of those goggles, and I thought they're kind of okay, but after wearing them a bit more, the pressure isn't quite right. I've ordered some extra foam, but opinion seems to be divided on the fit.
Yeah, I find out. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? It's hard to build a goggle for an average face when an average face is different between here and Asia and other places. And
yeah,
you know,
well, SkyZone gives you two face plates, so you get like you get the Asian faceplate and the European faceplate.
Oh, actual plates rather than just the spongy bit.
Yeah, they're like clip-on. So the goggles have like a clip on the front, and it actually like snaps on the faceplate, and then the foam attaches to the snap-on bit.
Well, that's quite cool.
Stephen,
I was ferreting around to find things, I tell you, that I've used to do flashing with. So,
Bobby Bags asks.
asked, I want to know how to flash AM32, Stephen. And the answer is, it's not easy, but you will need a firmware programmer. For a lot of the new ASCs, they run Artery Tech MCUs, and you need this, which is an Artery Tech one. It's the easiest way. And then you solder two pads that are not going to really show up on here. They're if you've ever done Whoop soldering work, you can do it. You look on your ESC, and there's going to be some pads next to the big square chips in the middle of the ESC. There's two pads next to each of those. Those are the pads that you're going to be soldering to. So if you're not comfortable doing some pretty delicate soldering, maybe think twice about that. A lot of the older ESCs, you can use these ST-Link adapters that are like £4 on eBay, and they're really easy to get hold of, and the software is much easier for these. But the new ones are using these cheapo clone chips from Artery Tech and others, and I have to say the software it's a little bit harder, a little bit more of a pain to flash. But it's doable. It's just a patience and reading thing. The information's out there. It's more hassle.
So that used to be the way you had to do BL Heli. Do you think in the future they'll have a pass-through from Betaflight or wherever, and you could flash them that way?
So, yes, bootloader, exactly, as Jack said. So the trouble with a lot of the 32-bit ESCs, well, all of them practically, is that they ship with BL Heli 32. And BL Heli 32 locks down their bootloader, so you can't overwrite it with another firmware. They want you to stay on BL Heli 32. So what you do as the first step to move to AM32 is you push in an open source bootloader that's basically the same as what you'd have on BL Heli S or BlueJ. It's a bootloader that you can write to from anything, not just from the BL Heli 32 client. So it moves you off the closed source bootloader onto an open source bootloader, and that is where you need to do that soldering with the tiny pads. And once you've done that, you can just use pass-through, and you can use ESC configurator, the same as you'd use to flash BlueJ, and it's a piece of cake.
But don't you then lose the ability to flash back to BRE32?
Yeah, it's a one-way trip.
Oh.
One-way trip. Yeah.
Sometimes they're the best.
Yeah, I mean, they actually update it just regularly to add things like they recently added some safety tips, because when Jack always has his foot on the quad because he's like, I don't know what's going to happen. A couple of people got a little finger sliced recently, and the guy running AM32 was like, okay, well, it was a Beal Heli 32 ESC that reported the error, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually inspect what could go wrong here, even though I haven't been told that I'm affected. And he went in there and he was like, okay, I'm going to have a specific mode for quads, so you can tell it that I'm always going to be in D-shot mode and I'll never accidentally start up in PWM mode, because this is what used to happen. Like sometimes there would be a timeout between the ESC and the flight controller. The ESC would be like, oh, nothing happening, nothing. Oh, well, no D-shot, must be PWM. Oh, a high pulse, off I go. And you just, fly to the moon and chop your hand up or whatever. So yeah, the guy implemented a setting to lock it to D-shot, and he also increased the timeouts and made it safer. So he's just more proactive, and he's listening to people, and lots of people who want to run the ESCs in crawlers. He's put features in for crawlers. That's so cool. It can overcome stalls and slowly increase the power until the wheel moves. But if you run a quad, you can turn that off, and you can have stuck motor protection. So he's got much more aggressive stuck motor protection. So if you do go and clip a gate or something, it'll just pull power from the ESC really quickly instead of burning out the FET.
That used to be a massive thing back in the day, didn't it? Clip a tree, clip a gate, ESC gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I accidentally stuck mine in an oak tree for about 10 minutes, and I was trying to turtle mode against oak tree branches to get the thing out, and it was all right. So yeah, it seems pretty robust.
Tony, you should start a channel, Crawley.
Crawley.
Yeah, I think you're crawling in Crawley. I think would be.
I do that anyway without any RC stuff.
Yeah, with listening to the sound of a cat, and
you could put some dodgy sunglasses on with the beard, and you could be creepy crawlers.
Yes,
yeah. There's probably
and wearing a big trench coat.
Men in Black.
And then have holes in your pocket.
Holes in your pocket. Going too far now, Jack.
With your transmitter underneath.
I'm glad you said mitter at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be quite funny myself. That is. I can't believe Curry hasn't cracked open his new walk snail yet.
Yeah, I would have just ripped the plastic off with my teeth and been I'd just be walking around the house with them on my face,
because I know it's gonna take my time up, and I was like, I must finish that other review I'm doing, and I'm just about to go away, and I don't want to start getting involved in stuff, else I'm gonna be like, I don't need to get to them, and then I'll be in the midst of something, there'll be debris all over the floor from me building stuff and things like that. So I'm like, just leave it. Come back to it. It'll still be there, all nice and shiny in the boxes. We'll do that.
I can't do that if I have something in a box. I'm like,
will you crack it open and just try the goggles on for us?
Now
that's exclusive. He probably wants to do it on his channel.
Yeah, we just want to know how they fit. Tone. Do you think it's worth, in case Frank says no, but do you fancy bringing your quad stuff? Maybe we could fly in between family time, or you be just down there. Well, no, just or whilst you're down, if the weather's decent.
Yeah. I don't have anything charged, but I can bring. I'll bring a couple of quads, maybe stuff something on charge tonight, and I'll do that.
Maybe we could do that.
I was quite impressed they put their own patches in the box. That was quite nice.
Ballsy move.
What do you mean? Seems to work.
You walks now, boys.
They're not bobbins. I think they're originally shipping like the same Omnis on both of these, but then they changed it.
Getting
and now
excited,
they're
Gary
shipping
Kitten.
patches on the front.
Quite excited.
Yeah. Let's see. It's Christmas. It's Curry Kitten.
Oh, I'm all big. Right, we're checking the fit. They don't fit. I've sent them back.
And they left their polarized stuff.
Everything digital is nowadays, isn't it?
So
yeah.
Okay.
Audio viewers, that's the sound of Curry
I think
adjusting
the
his outro.
O3 is actually a linear antenna on the quad, but all the goggles are LHCP. Or is it the other way around?
It feels all right. You can feel it on the nose, certainly.
Yeah.
I've got quite a large nose for balancing goggles on, which is handy.
Menace RC do left-hand polarized antennas.
I've gone with our Canadian friends, True RC.
Traitor.
I do know that because Greg saw my post about getting them and has sent me a set to try out, which was nice of him.
If you contact me, I can give you 10% off.
Yeah, you gave me a digital set, and that I haven't used yet.
If you follow,
we got that.
What's in there?
And
is it patches or just Omnis? What's going on?
These was the patches. So what you get in here are two. I think these are like. Hang on.
The little Pico patches.
I think they're little Pico patches. No, I can't remember, and I can't get the thing out again. Yeah. They won't come out. These are the little
editor.
Thrasher. Yeah, those are the Thrasher ones for the little stubby.
Oh yeah, they're little
Omnis. Yeah, they're great.
And these have got little extensions on them. I think. Oh, here we go.
You better tell the editor what you wanted.
These are two left-hand polarized Pico patches, and you've got little extensions in black. Poke them out a bit. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I run them on the bottom of my digital stuff, and then I run different ones on the top. The Pico.
So are they little pagodas? The
pagoda on the top. Yeah.
So I'll try out the regular antennas, and then I'll switch over to these because I'm interested to see what the difference may or may not be. But yeah, there you go. Now I've got them out of the box, and they don't go back in the box. It's going to ruin my video. It's all your fault. They seem to fit okay-ish.
You get them back in the box. It's not like one of those crazy products where everything explodes.
Yeah, you can also blame us. You can have a whinge.
They look nice.
Specifically, like blame Jack. Obviously,
it's Jack's fault. It's always Jack's fault. If in doubt, it's Jack's fault.
Definitely.
So people have been posting in the chat links to Newbie Drones April Fools that apparently isn't an April Fool. Have you seen this?
No, go for it.
Newbie Drone have posted pictures of a couple of little whoops because they're whoops manufacturers. And apparently they're going to be releasing 65mm quads with built in, as in on the board, Crossfire and Ghost.
No.
Crossfire and the Ghost.
If it was an April Fool, they need to take the page down because they've still got it up. And maybe someone finds it funny, but I'm pretty sure that's like.
I think, aren't you the fool after 12 p.m.?
Yeah, it's you're the fool if you don't take it down. I believe it's the standard arrangement. I will just share this so we can have a gander. Let's have a look. What's going on here? So here you are at Newbie Drone. There's a couple on offer here. There's obviously the black one in the TBS colors there. And then I believe we've got a matching one in immersion RC colors here as well. There we are. And in red and white with a giant T antenna stuck out the canopy. I don't know how they're doing this. They must have signed some pretty illicit deals, backroom deals with TBS and immersion RC to do this. But I do know for a fact that they were already in that sort of area because their OSD doesn't use the Max chip it's all done in secret source in their own firmware, which is why if you've got one of these whoops, as Jack found out, you can't just go upgrading the firmware. You've got to wait for Newbie Drone to release it, which might take a while. So you're going to be going through the same process with this, I guess. Not that they're bad whoops, but it just might take a while for updates to happen.
Well, I saw, this is from Clive FPV in the chat, I saw the Crossfire one on the TBS live stream. So
$160 as well.
It must be true.
That's a lot for a whoop, isn't it?
It must
a lot
be
for
true.
a whoop.
160. Woo. I think the happy model ones are normally going for about 70 to 80 sterling, which would be about $100. So that's it's a kind of 50% price increase to get this guy. But I guess if you want it, you want it, and there's nowhere else you can get one.
It seems a little bit unnecessary to have like Ghost or Crossfire on a whoop. I mean, you've got the responsiveness, but in terms of flying very far, you're going to run out of battery before you've gone far enough.
Well, Ghost is a racer.
Come back again.
Ghost is a racer protocol, so if people are racing 5 inches and they're not using ELRS, then they're probably going to be using Ghost
stuff. But
Crossfire, I absolutely don't see the point in Crossfire because it's not fast, and you haven't got the battery to go more than about.
Crossfire's faster than S-Bus.
Just.
There's an upgrade from S-Bus to
if you
Crossfire,
lock it in 150 hertz mode, otherwise 50 hertz Crossfire is it that much better than S-Bus? Maybe the latency is better, but the packet.
I don't think any of us old boys could tell the difference anyway.
Yeah. Oh look, the Memortal antenna,
mini mortal antenna.
Air gun fun. Yeah, mini.
I didn't even see the antenna.
Yeah, because they looked. That's what I was about to say. They looked the same size, and I was like, "Are you sure you're not?"
No, it can't be.
Are you sure you're not talking about Tracer?
And that's a lot of lift, isn't it?
It says Crossfire Nano. It specifically says Crossfire Nano with Mini Mortal T. I don't understand why you're running Crossfire.
Wavelength.
I mean, it might just be the ease of use. Like if I was, all my quads are Crossfire, so just ease of use, just get that one.
It's got a max 400 milliwatt VTX, but this is the one that auto limits its output power based on heat, so it's never going to do 400 milliwatt unless you're flying in the Arctic, in which case your batteries are dead. It's going to be doing like 200 milliwatt with Crossfire and a like 300 milliamp hour battery. So
it'd be sweet flying around your neighbours though. I loved flying a little quad that Dan Upton made out here. It was only on 25 milliwatt, but flying all around the houses and stuff. It was so tiny and no one could hear it, no one could see it. So something like that.
That's not a good thing, you weirdo.
I think if you're in the Newbie Drone Club, this is probably great. If you're not, then you might be wondering, why am I paying so much for a whoop?
Inflation.
But you can just go get a Happy Model one for like half the cost of this.
I wouldn't trust anything called Happy Model.
I've been buying them for years. Like one of the first models I got was Happy Model stuff. It's either that or Beta FPV, and I'll go for.
They make most of the ELRS receivers Happy Model.
Do they? I've not done
pretty solid.
ELRS, but
yeah, you haven't lived, Tony. You're stuck in the past.
I am stuck in the past. I am. I know I am. Like I said when you were in the toilet, me and Jack, we've put on Beta Flight, and we were like, "What are these sliding bars?" Like,
I know, I was like, "Kill it with fire."
We were like,
Tony and me were like with stones and sticks, and we're trying to like bash the.
If you're not flying every single week, every day, the shit changes so quickly. It's ridiculous.
I don't know. From watching you, Tony, I think you maybe haven't been flying not building for a really long time. 3
years, I think.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen what happens when Tony tries to build stuff. It's not pretty. That's why he gets Jack to do it.
Well, actually driving all my XLR stuff down tomorrow morning to see Jack and dumping it and saying, sort that lot out. And then giving him a wad of cash So that's how we roll.
Wedges of cash. I mean, you can't argue with wedges of cash, can you?
Exactly.
No.
Exactly. I just I've always admitted I can do it. I just don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's just not for me. I'm a flyer, not a builder. So, you know.
So I
think
scratched
that's-
around on the Happy models on Get FPV and Pyrodrone, and I found that the Happy model equivalents are like $97 versus $160. So you got to love this stuff.
Do you get an inbuilt receiver though? Is the question.
Yeah, you get an inbuilt ELRS receiver.
Oh well, that's fair enough then.
Yeah.
Do they have a proper antenna, or they got the little square blocks?
It doesn't have a proper VTX antenna, so like, good luck worrying about your control link when your VTX antenna is like a bit of old wire.
I love the ones that just literally came with bare copper wire sticking out.
Yeah,
it's like this looks like it's class. It's
Just a bit of old motor wire that they had kicking around. They sort of straightened it out and just tacked it on there. Done. Ship
Welding wire.
Yes, it's enameled, which is something. At least it's not going to short out other stuff. But yeah, it's nothing fancy. But then these things are 19, 18 grams, you know. So the difference between that and an Omni is massive. Like an Omni could weigh 3 grams, which is 15% of your dry weight.
Really?
You know what I want to do with little whoops? I wanted to go back and fly a couple of my brushed ones. Do you remember that we had loads of brushed versions of the FPV whoops before we went brushless?
Still got them, yeah.
And I've still got them. And I remember them being mostly very quiet. Although compared to a 5-inch, a whoop's very quiet. When they're going around the house, they're quite noisy. And I thought, I must go back and compare. I want to see if it's the old rose-tinted spectacles or they were okay. They weren't very powerful, but I call them house explorer quads rather than racing through the house quads.
Oh, God.
I know I've got one down there. But yeah. What I remember is that I couldn't fly downstairs because the throttle control, like, it was so bad at descending into its own prop wash, it would like lose control going down a flight of household stairs.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
They're not shallow stairs. They're probably like quite steeply raked, maybe sort of 40 degrees, but going down at any speed, you'd be descending so fast that it couldn't like smoothly, and you just lose control of it because it was twitching so much side to side. You'd like hit the wall or the banister going down the stairs.
They're just always good going forwards, and that was it. Just like fly forwards, turn, and then just come back. And they were crap at going up, crap at going down. I mean,
there's a lot of lag. You'd be like, hit the throttle, wait.
Yeah, the 2S stuff is probably all right, but then it just made it. It made them too big.
Well, then you had to keep changing the motors with brushed whoops.
Exactly, yeah.
You're like running 2S on it, and you land, and the motors are like smelling like burnt metal.
They were good fun, but I never really got into whoops. I like I had a couple. Dan Upton's one was the best. I wouldn't call it a whoop because it was open bladed and it was running 2S. But that thing, I used to fly around the neighbourhood and it was fine. But I just never really enjoyed whooping at all. Like it just.
You're lucky to get that to work. I just found the receiver complete garbage. Mine used to just fall out the sky.
Yeah.
What, the whoop?
They were the
thing
FR
that
Sky
Dan
clone
built.
receivers, right?
The
That
Dan
didn't
one.
work properly.
Yeah, they
the
were
SPI ones that would lock up because the CPU would get too bound and just like, hang on, I've just frozen.
Thinking, donk.
Yeah, I just never enjoyed whooping. I don't know.
I think you don't have enough power to do proper acro, do you? That's the problem.
And I couldn't fly it with not in acro. It was
unless you're like someone who gets the
horrible.
top score on Tetris, who's like complete ninja and just does moves in 0.1 of a second. You can't do acro.
I'm sure they're probably better now.
Yeah, I mean, they're a bit better. I tried to. Someone said, "Oh, you have to try out this new angle mode, or it's horizon mode, because they made it
How can you
so
fly
it was
that
much
though
more
if
punchy."
you don't fly?
It was
Like,
difficult.
why?
I was
It's
just going to
like going
say I couldn't
backwards.
fly it because I tried to split S and I ended up in the sink in a bowl full of washing up water.
Yeah,
And I was really
ruined.
lucky that I ran downstairs, like almost falling down the stairs, and sprinted into the kitchen, took it out, shook it, and pulled the battery out. And it was fine,
You
but I absolutely
survived, but
pooped myself.
It's literally like going backwards, isn't it? Doing that.
And the batteries as well, like they're just terrible. Unless you buy from like one mythical supplier who does these special batteries where they roll them up and bless them with holy water or something. Like all the 1S batteries I've ever had, and I've got like 40 of them, they're all just terrible. Like you fly them 5 times and you might as well like throw them away because they just...
To be fair,
dive down
Clive
to
just
volts.
reminded me, check out Justice FPV videos of Whoop flying. I do believe he's not on 1S. He's got to be 2S flying around his house, because his videos are insane. Like flying around his house and through under. If you've not seen it, you need to Google it, because it is absolutely phenomenal.
Well, the same with like Nathan Loops as well. Like there's 1 or 2 pilots who can freestyle, who can do like split S's down their stairs, but if you look at the speed of the control inputs, they are absolute
I've done
ninjas.
it on a Whoop, but I've done it outside my house, and I've gone 300 foot up. You know what I mean? But he does it. He Justice FPV is fantastic in his house doing all that. But I don't know what he runs, but if it's 1S, it is incredible.
I think that's the thing. To get that good on a Whoop, if you're flying a 5-inch, you'd be like in the top 1% of all 5-inch quad pilots to be that good on a Whoop.
I think he is that as well, to be fair.
Because most people can take a 5-inch and like pump the throttle, flip it upside down, and do a split S and relatively cleanly on a Whoop.
Capture that, Peter. Sorry. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's like private conversations going on while we're live. There's some good captures tonight.
I kind of like the evolution into toothpicks, because toothpicks kind of lost popularity now, but they were, when they first came out, the craziness of this little 3S battery on this little tiny little quad which would shake about and hardly hold together. I just love the craziness of them.
Yeah, I think it was
definitely an outside thing, but
toothpick. What I enjoyed much more than the than the tiny Whoop.
Yeah,
because
I think, as you guys said, it's the battery thing. Trying to get a 1S battery and being able to really do stuff with it before it just lags into nothing is terrible. I don't know where people are buying these decent batteries to do stuff with, but all my old batteries now are just like they last about 30 seconds on the Whoops.
Well, people started like soldering XT30s on those 1S lipos, didn't they? And then they went to like BT2, or there's GMB27, and the ongoing argument about BT2 being lighter but GMB27 being better, or do you just go balls to the wall and put XT30s on it? It's just fly 2S. Just get a 2S lipo that comes with an XT30, and it's all so much simpler.
Yeah, agreed.
It's true.
And they fly much nicer.
And you can just charge it like easily. You plug it into the charger and you can storage charge it. Whereas with 1S, your range of charging options are just crazy. Like you have these toy grade chargers and you can storage charge, but you need this crazy wiring harness. And the next time you go to plug in a proper battery, you've got to remember to unplug the wiring harness, or you like ground a bunch of connections and smoke comes out, and it's just it's effort. It's effort, isn't it?
Yeah, I just really didn't enjoy the Whoop stuff, but the other bits, the other ones I did, the twigs or whatever they're called, they were good.
I like the twig
ones. Toothpick twigs. They're all good. Just flying around the.
Because you could just go around a small park and sit on a bench and just
exactly that. Fun. No one here could hear it either. So you could just like sit there and just have a fly.
You don't get grief from dog walkers and people just fly the smallest of buildings. You can like whip around and do some nice tricks on.
Yeah, good fun.
It's cool. We often go into the park, take some little toothpick, little 2.5-inch prop thing. Got loads of those.
If I just say Peter, is that all right? Like if he can just cut that.
Well, it's a bit jarring.
If you want to take clips of it, I mean,
it's
a proud tradition.
There's been some fun tonight with the innuendo, so you know.
In your rendo,
Peter.
That's the new thing. Just say Peter after you've heard something innuendo-y.
Yeah, and why don't you, Mass, just bring out a smaller version, like Shady says? Just put an end to it and bring out an XT10 or something to stop all this quibbling and stupidity. Enough.
Good idea.
That would be a good shout. I don't know. I think maybe it's the machining for making something like that.
It's just printed nylon, isn't it? I mean, how difficult was it? They make tiny little like JST plugs. I'm sure they could do it. Just probably not enough.
I'm sure Beta FPV will probably argue that their BT 2.0 is essentially like an XT10. It's theirs, so that doesn't really count as much.
But they've had loads of quality problems, haven't they? Because they don't change the molds often enough. So you buy
what?
one off
Beta
one
FPV quality problems? What are you talking about, Stephen?
We're Beta FPV, and we've determined that we can reuse this mold for up to 4 times as long as people would traditionally say you can use a mold, so long as you don't mind the battery plug falling out. That's all right, isn't it?
It's self-unplugging.
It's a safety feature.
Yeah.
If you're in danger and doing some aggressive flying, your battery will disconnect for safety.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Can't have too much fun.
Yeah.
Peter.
Peter or Beta? I don't know. Yeah, I did I had a Beta FPV board recently. I was testing out, and it looked great until I got to connect the VTX, and I realized I've been so spoiled by all these boards that come with everything on board. You see, you've got like your receiver, the ESCs, and the flight controller, and the VTX, and you literally plug a camera in, plug motors, and you'll go. And it was so much easier.
I think that was my last build. Was my Tomahawk 7-inch was literally you soldered the motors on, and that was it. You just it was done. I was like, wow, this is something I could do.
Simple.
Yeah. So yeah, going backwards, not good. Let's hope it moves forward faster. Yes, he does.
It's required. Yeah, so with whoops especially, you just get off the ground so much quicker. And soldering a VTX onto a whoop board, oh my word! Like it was a level of pain that I'd forgotten that I had to endure. You've got to do like 5 wires. You've got because they decided to make it so you plug the camera into the VTX, and then the other end of the VTX you have your video in, video out, power, ground, and a UART. So 5 wires off of this tiny VTX all down into the FC. And they're all done in a row because Beta FPV's understanding of pad layout is just shove them all in the corner. Yeah. It was a nightmare, absolute nightmare.
Oh, and I remember from those.
I need a wee.
They give you wire to do it, and the wire's all black, so you've not even got color coding. You're just.
Oh,
what I hate about those boards as well is they always put the pads not along the edge, but inwards or next to some sort of tiny electric component. It's just the tiniest little like, oops, my soldering iron slipped. You've taken out like 4 resistors.
Right. I've had one before where I wanted to swap the power lead. So I took off, because they always ship it with like 26 gauge like bell wire on it. And so I take that out. I can get by with a PH2, but PH2 with like maybe 20 gauge or 18 gauge, just something. So at least once it gets past that PH2, it actually takes the amps to the board and doesn't just heat up my battery lead. And I tried to desolder it, and getting the ground terminal hot enough, I floated off this passive that was like 2 millimeters next to the ground, and it's just horrible. It's horrible. I'm sure Jack would have had a whale of a time with his precise repair skills, but I just lost my mind.
No, man. Even I have my limits. I'm a little bit scared of I am a little bit scared of the X class, really, because it's so big and chunky. I'm worried, like, oh man, I'm going to start soldering this, and it is, this is going to be cold solder joint from hell. Like, I wonder if I
can flux. Just get a big tub of flux and just squish the FC down, the whole board into flux, flux it all over.
It was like, you're going to need a
You'll bring out this great big line of solder, and you just be like, okay, we're just melting. Oh, I've run out. Keep me more. Keep going.
Yeah, just welding copper pipes to it. Like.
Yeah.
Using solid blocks of it, like.
I mean, even testing it with the props off must be a little bit unnerving in a small space, right, Jack?
Oh, mate, I know, innit?
Could burn a hole in the carpet, even with the props off.
Yeah, that one's on you, Tone. Are you going to go for conventional layout, or are you going to do props out? Because you don't know what that is.
Conventional. Yeah.
You better remember which way the props are on, Tone.
Oh god, that used to be. I used to hate that. Start of a race, put the props on. Oh god, I've done it again.
But on the next class, geez, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that.
No, I double, triple, quadruple make someone check that before I go out and fly. Are these on right, please?
I'd like have a special throttle setting that like lock the throttle at 2%, so I could just see the props turning, verifying them. Before
so many times I've bodged up a race at the start line because I've crashed and replaced a prop, and it's like the dyslexic thing is not just numbers; it's weird, it's words and things like that. Something goes that way and something goes that way. That one goes that way. It's Jack, I tell you, it's really, really hard to get your mind around. It seems easy for most people. It's really hard if you're dyslexic. Yeah, there's so many times I've been on the start line and gone. I
always have to double check mine, to be fair.
Done it wrong again, but it is what it is. We're not all perfect.
Far from it.
Nope.
Curry, I saw that you went out flying and done some return to home and all that.
I did. It was a last minute thing. I was testing out a VTX and I thought, I've put Betaflight 4.4 on it. I should try the new rescue mode, which lands. And I didn't really read anything about it. I just thought I'll just try it and see what happens, because there's probably not that much documentation on it. And they'll just say, read the code or something. So I decided to try it, and it was very interesting / frightening. Because I sort of took the goggles off so I could try and film it with the GoPro. Like it's going to come at me. And what happens is it sort of comes up and it's like, it doesn't look like it's coming like a missile. So that's good. And it sort of came towards me and then braked a bit. And then the weirdest thing, because I thought, well, now it's going to land. But instead it sort of circled round. It's like, I'm just going to get a run up.
Was there a bit of wind?
It was quite windy, but I did it twice. I didn't film the first one. And I was by a bush, and I didn't know it was going to do the circle thing. So I was like, "Shit, it's going to go in the bush."
Because it doesn't necessarily circle, but I think what might have happened is it's like blown slightly ahead of where it thought it was going to be.
It actually came and stopped just beforehand. I didn't know if it was trying to it was circling because it's. I'm like, is it trying to work out its direction or something? But it's like circle, 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 and it's getting low, and then it just goes dump. It's like, it's disarmed. I think that's the landing.
I've seen people land like that, though. To be fair, was it probably a better landing than most pilots?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair,
I take pride in my landing. I come in and I'm like, ooh, and I've settled down.
Yeah, I want to land properly because mostly my fields are like covered in water.
5 foot off the ground.
If I'm below knee height, mate, I'm disarmed.
See, there's one, Stephen. Turn it off.
Here's the thing. It's an interesting test to do, but the only reason you'd ever do that is like, oh, I've dropped my transmitter on the floor and it's smashed up and the batteries have fallen out or something like that. Otherwise, if your VTX light has gone, then you'd bring it back in range and you'd land it manually.
If you like smash your antenna off.
Yeah, if that happens on the quad, then you'll get back in range at some point. Oh, this is me panicking. Saying where is it?
It's scary. It was quite good to do it itself, isn't it? It's still going quite rapid as well.
Yeah, and it sort of just goes there, and it's like, yeah, I think this is about right, and it just goes dunk.
That's
pretty good.
That's about
that's
6
pretty
foot
good.
off the takeoff.
I'll take that.
Yeah,
I mean, DJI would land on that mat, but
DJI don't use carbon fiber, do they?
No, they don't.
It was quite handy because it was windy, and I was holding GoPro, and when it came at me, I shouted "fuck." Sorry, Elisa. But the wind noise blew that away, so you couldn't hear me. But I was going to do a video about it, but I thought I'll go back and I'll do a proper reading and I'll have a look at the settings and I'll do a few more and decide what my right settings were.
There's lots of tweaking.
Say if you were there and you moved a bit over there and was flying out and you went long distance and it come back and it circled and landed there, you'd be happy about that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I think the only thing you need to know is it might not come back in a straight line and plonk down. So if you're, because sometimes in summer, like I'll sit under a tree and stuff because I'll get some shade. So if you're doing that, you think, it might just hit the tree. That would be bad. So as long as you're out sort of in the middle of a place, you're okay. Yeah. But I think it's a massive step forward compared to the Exocet missile that was rescue mode before. Yeah, that was functional enough because as long as you got the control signal back or the video, you could just turn it back off. And
I think part of the problem with the landing is that GPS is good, really good for speed because you measure Doppler shift, so you get the speed accurate, and it's pretty good for 2D for your north and your east. You get that, but what it's rubbish for is height. It doesn't really. It doesn't really measure height.
That's what your barrow's for.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, not every board has a barrow, and they're not currently using barrow. And what's happening in the next release is they're going to combine the GPS height with the barrow height, and then fuse those together to create a more accurate data source. So instead of going, I think I should be on the ground and disarming it, have a better idea of where it is.
Well, that's good. I mean, I've had a barrow goes out on me all the time because there is a barrow on that one. And, often I'll be flying along and it says, oh, you're at minus 10 meters now. It's like, oh, okay, I think you might need to sort of sort yourself out again here because it's better than GPS. I like the way Barrow's very reactive. It gives a very quick update when it thinks the heights change, but it's still not super accurate, but GPS can go out like super crazy, can't it? Because it's trying to
it's nice to have a 3D fix. Also, if you've got a barrow and no GPS, then you can at least you can have an auto land function. So even if you're not doing a return to home, you can at least have oh Christ, just land safely. Like don't just disarm and drop. Try and please do a safe landing. And assuming you're not on the side of a mountain, it's roughly the same height as where you took off. You can at least do a controlled descent and not smash it to bits.
Well, given that they can now sort of come in and land in circle, they should do a circle mode as well, like the old the iNav one. It's just like instead of position hold, which is hard without a compass, you can just go around in circles over there somewhere.
Right, it's circling now. Move out of the way because
position hold isn't. So what you need the compass for is if you're not moving very fast, and that's why you need a certain speed when you return to home. Because your GPS updates aren't happening that often. And if you move slowly and you're not doing very regular GPS updates either, it kind of can't figure out which direction you're going in. But if you go at a decent clip, then it knows which way you're facing. So,
yeah, I mean, this was always, I remember always having this argument. I don't know if we brought it up with Mr. What's his name? The iNav dude. Where we talked about
Pavel Spakowski.
Pavel Spakowski. I don't know how I managed to forget his name. Because I remember complaining that you needed a compass and a GPS for for running iNav, and I always remember saying like, well, you can infer the direction as long as you move forward, but that never got in there. But Betaflight puts it in there. Hooray! Well done, Betaflight.
Isn't it?
Quickly, because we're desperately running out of time. How any news on the Open HD thing? Because last we checked in with you, you had the
danger camera. The danger camera, the biggest nose in the world.
It's done. It's up here on the. Hang on.
Danger camera.
Oh, look at the camera that follows him.
Oh, it followed me.
So good.
Oh, yeah.
Come back. I call it the suicide camera.
It's good.
Oh, look at
it
that.
Sticks out this far. Suicide camera. So this is
inch?
ready to go.
Show us again.
I like the Mohawk as well.
This is the iNav. No, this is the Open HD quad. And it is ready to go, but I did get a absolutely horrendous picture out of this, which is a bit of a worry.
I'm surprised you're using a camera that
is a one landing camera mount. That's
7 years ago.
No, I do land properly. It should be fine. It's
the right
fine.
way up and everything. Professional.
I printed it out, and there's a nice ribbon cable sticking out there. Just
why are you using cameras that we used 7 years ago? And is it a 7?
This is a digital camera.
Fancy camera.
It's rubbish.
This is a really expensive camera, so I hope I won't kill it.
Everything. It's was that the Ardu Cam one?
Yeah, it's the bloody pricey one. So yeah, I've now got ready to fly that quad. Oh, I'm being followed everywhere. That quad and the wing on the wall up there. So I'd literally just want to go out and try and fly both of them and see what happens.
To your next video. Hopefully you can have a windy, sunny day.
Fingers crossed. I've put the antennas on that they suggested to get a better picture, so we'll see what happens.
You've soldered all your USB connections?
USB is all soldered now. Yes, we fixed that one. But they'll probably complain that, well, you haven't covered it properly with proper USB type cable or something. I don't know. We'll find out. I've shrunk now. My camera hasn't followed me down. Hang on.
I've really shrunk.
Down here. There we go.
Short in.
Oh no, I've gone too far.
It's true, but
there we are.
Bastards.
Right, that is all we have time for. You've been listening to Let's Roll Out. You've been joined by everyone's favourite Koken.
Hello and goodbye.
The man with the moustache, Stephen.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks to our awesome Patreons. Cheers.
My darling pocket-sized wife.
Bonjour.
Oh, with a bonus nipple rub.
Yeah, bonus nipple rub. And I've been bright until I fly. And this show has been Let's Drone Out. And it's been sponsored by our lovely Patreons who are scrolling along. If you're listening to this audio edited podcast, hopefully it won't have Peter being screamed out every 5 minutes. And there'll be a hilarious bonus song to listen to for our Patreons in the beginning of beginning of this month when we do a bonus podcast. And thank you guys. Good night.
Good night. Thanks, everyone. Thank you very much.
Please comment, like, and subscribe.
Share, like.
Bye.
Ring the bell.
Ding.
And